What is going on, YouTube? Pass the Prop is back. NFL edition coming at you guys on, what is it? Christmas Eve, right? I think that's what it is. We got another day before Christmas Eve, so we're ready to go. Stu, you get all your Christmas shopping in yet or what?
You know, doing the best we can, just like everyone else out there, doing the best we can. Busy time of year. I was podcasting all day yesterday, so I still got a couple things got to take care of tonight. But hey, that's why we get all the plays out in the morning. I got like 400 plays I could give out right now, but somehow limited it down to 2 for the show. Plus, you know, a little bonus, like always. If you stick around, you always get some good information. But I'm super excited, man. So you still got a little shopping left to do, but hopefully we make some money here, and then we help you guys buy some presents, whether it's for yourself or someone else. We don't really care.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds good. Obviously, saw you had a good day yesterday as well. Makes it we're rolling into a good slate here. I know we both been making pretty good money on the show, so happy to get after it again here. So let's talk about it a little bit. We can talk about NBA really quickly. We got 15 of you guys in here in the first couple minutes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. I think NBA went 2-2, right?
Yep, I went 1-1. First loss in like a week and a half, so it hurt, but hey, made it back with some ladders, so that was always good. Yeah, lost Nick Richards right here and then made it up for the combo. Like I said on Twitter, too, if you missed Strus early, there's injury report stuff. I said get the 15. Obviously, 15 was still good as well right there. So shout out to both those guys. Strus ended up going the ladder all the way up to 6. Cat went the ladder rebounds up to, I believe, 12 or 13. So pretty good night if you listen to the show. You know, we talked about all that stuff, 1-1, but added a little extra money to your bank account with some nice little tiny ladders in there as well.
Yeah, I lost my Luka play, won my Scary Terry. The real Scary Terry continues to show out, dude. I was almost flipping out when he almost doubled with rebounds. I'm like, dude, this bringing me back to freaking D'Angelo Russell from 2 years ago, bro. He had 8 boards. I'm like, what is going on, dude? Like, I thought he was about to double for me and get me that cash me that ticket, and I'm like,
yeah,
damn, bro. He still ended up with like 6 or 7 assists, which is like, I would have taken that. Right, that's why I kind of expected it at, but then it's like, holy shit, this dude's got 8 boards. So it was a good overall game from him. Obviously, just caught fire in that second quarter, which made it really fun. He ended up with like 20 at half, which was awesome. Shout out Anthony Simons for putting 22 up on him last night as my other play yesterday. Dude was cooking, dude. I'm just really upset that we're probably not going to get a good line anymore on Anthony Simons. The dude's a fucking tank, dude.
Yeah, especially it's funny of all games you get a good line against the Wizards. That's what the sportsbook idea was, really. I mean, there were a lot of good props in that game to end the night right there. But yeah, definitely a good slate. And hey, we got that, out the way, made some money already. But hey, we've got a lot of NFL to talk about. And I know that's what the people are here for. Been a good season so far. I think we make it a little bit better. We want to get that unit count as high as possible right before the new year because, that's people care about a year-long sample. So we're excited to end strong right here. We got a new year, a new slate to start on to make money for you guys in just a couple weeks. But we're going to lock in right now because I don't know about you. I like a lot of the games this week. I think we got some really interesting matchups. We got some Titans clashing. And then you also have some bad teams clashing. And I don't know about you. I kind of like those games also, right? Let's let these terrible teams scrap it out and finally cash some tickets on these guys.
Sounds good. Yeah, we got a nice slate here. And you already mentioned it, 51-40, almost 14 units profit here, guys. I mean, we pretty much update the show every single time we do an NFL play, so it's pretty easy to just tag along. If you want to go back, look at every single show, check all the numbers. It just keeps adding up, so we're happy to see it there, and hopefully we can end it around like that 20. That'd be a hell of a year here on the show, and hopefully we'll be able to do that for you. I know you got a 1.5 unit play for us, so that obviously gets people pumped up a little bit there. But let's talk about the slate a little bit. We got games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Multiple games on every single one of those days. Only a 9-game main slate if you're playing on the DK spots. Yeah. What's intriguing? What's catching your eye here, Stu?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good action. Obviously, I think Monday night we end with a bang, like everyone already knows. For me, I think if we're just going to skip ahead a little to, big screen game, for me, It's Lions-Vikings. I mean, obviously a lot of good action this week, but I love the TJ Hawkinson revenge. I've been a big fan of what the Vikings have been doing all year long in general on the defensive side of the ball. If you watch the show, you know I'm a big Flores fan, right? So I'm excited to watch these two teams square it out. It's a division rivalry. The Lions have been looking ugly recently, but hey, they also get to go back inside, which is where they like to play. So I think that'll be a really fun game, a really competitive game. That's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most this week.
Yeah, I mean, that one kind of is up there for me just because they're obviously in my NFC North and I'll be watching tightly there. But, I mean, usually the game after Arthur Smith gets nuked, he usually decides he's not an idiot for 1 week and then gets the people off his back. So kind of excited to see what happens there. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor coming back as well on that one should make that one interesting. I don't want to go to like the two big ones. Obviously, those are going to be probably the ones everybody want to watch. Give me the Jaguars, bro. Sign me up for those guys. Jaguars versus Tampa. I got a lot of bets I like in that game. So I guess I'm more leaning towards the prop side of that game versus actually truly wanting to watch it. Really hoping that Trevor Lawrence plays for that one. What do you think that line gets to if he sits?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Because obviously the backup play, is a little. I mean, at 4.5, and it's probably got. The thing is, there's a dead zone after 4.5, right? Books 5.5 until you get to 6. I guess it probably does cross 6, right? I mean, I don't know. Trevor's been really hated on recently. That's kind of why I'm having this little internal debate right here. It feels like this is in the beginning of the season. Maybe the line moves more than it does now, right? People are a little down on him. So I don't know. That could get to a very interesting place. But I think Trevor does play, to be completely honest. Just kind of injured again.
Yeah, a little concussion I'm seeing. No practice yet, but we've seen guys not practice on those. And I mean, dude, they could have won last week. They could have truly beat the Ravens if Trevor Lawrence doesn't just drop the football and have 2 missed field goals there, right? I mean, that game is completely different. You're playing from a different mindset there. And obviously both teams want to win. This is a big game for both of them. Those are the games I really want to talk about there. But Stu, I guess we can kind of talk a little bit about the mammoth games, right? Since those ones were on our list. Obviously Baltimore, San Francisco, and Miami versus Dallas. Which one do you want to talk about first? We can talk about those two before we get into props.
Yeah, I mean, these are the two marquee games. If you're making time, if you have family stuff, if you're making time for 2 games, these are going to be it. I mean, I think we start with the first one, the Miami game, obviously. For me, I'm super excited for this one. I like Miami. I don't know about you. That's initially the side I am leaning towards. I understand a lot of people could make a good argument about Dallas on a bounce back, right? I'm a big fan of taking guys on a bounce back because at the end of the day, like blind trends like that don't work in general, but that one is more just taking advantage of like market tendencies, which is when we all see a team play poorly, as humans with recency bias, we tend to downgrade those teams more than we should based on just 1 week sample size. So there's always inherently some value on the bounce back right there. But I think the problem is I just don't think the Dolphins are getting enough respect for maybe what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball rather than on the offensive side of the ball. I think their defense has actually stepped up a little more in the last couple of weeks. I just don't know how you watch that the last couple of weeks of the Cowboys and you go like, I really want to take them today. Like it's a hard call for me. It's a close game. I think it'll be really entertaining. I think we see a decent amount of offense, but I think Miami kind of sneaks up and steals the win right there.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Dallas for sure. And if I had to bet a side, I'm betting Dallas. I mean, what last week before that game, everybody's talking about Dak looking at MVP, bro. They just beat Philadelphia by 20, and now you play a game where the books literally gave it to you. They gave you the script. They're going to win. The Bills were going to win. Why else would they open that number at that spot with a struggling Bills team, pouring rain, right? Now you're being playing in Miami, man. I do not have any issues here. I don't bet on sides on these, but I think Dallas shows out. I mean, if they're going to lose, they're going to lose a high-scoring game here. So I think Dallas's offense looks awesome in this game. I don't trust that Miami defense at all in this one. I truly don't.
I kind of go the other way. I mean, to be honest, Dallas is not when has Dallas struggled on the season when we think about it? It's their red zone offense. That's been the biggest thing. What does the Fangio system want to do? Fangio emphasizes the ultimate bend but don't break, right? We'll let you go underneath, but we're going to limit explosive plays. Dallas has been really good in the weeks where they've been able to generate all those explosive plays. So for me, once again, I think it's easy to focus on the offensive side of the conversation. Dallas's offense, like, it's good. Dak is really good. The system is fine. But, I mean, what happens if they're able to slow down CeeDee Lamb? They've got some pretty good corners over there. A Jalen Ramsey, right? A Howard. I mean, I get they're living on name reputation a little more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I think CeeDee Lamb will get his. But I'm just saying, who else do you look to? If let's say CeeDee goes 6 for 100, which is totally reasonable, who else is then that next guy? I'm not seeing it from Tony Pollard.
I know what you're saying. I got what you're saying, but they got absolutely fucking torched by DeAndre Hopkins, right? Who's the only option there, right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Ugly.
Let's go down. Devontae Adams put 88 and a touchdown on him. AJ Brown went for 130 and a touchdown on him. You go to these number ones, Stephon Diggs put 120 and a touchdown on him, right? And now Jake Ferguson's actually not awful. He's a Badger, so I'm obviously a little more biased on there, but I'm fine with Decoy and Brandon Cooks and Gallup down the sideline, letting this dude just go right down the field, right? I'm not impressed. I'm really not in this defense. That Phillips dude was my dude. I love that guy. I would take him for sacks. Now with him out, man, I'm not worried about them at all. I mean, you got Bradley Chubb on one side, but the reason they were so good is they would just converge on the quarterback. You have nowhere to go, right? Now you just obviously have, I'm assuming Bradley Chubb's going to be on that left side against Smith. That's going to be an awesome matchup, but you can negate that now. When you have two of them, you can't. There's not much you can do, right? You can always chip now right on him, not have to worry about Chubb because he's obviously that number one dude now, but they're not going to shadow CeeDee. CeeDee goes everywhere. He's in motion like half the time he's out on the field anyway. So I'm not that worried at all. I'm really not worried about this Miami defense. And that's why. Who else are you worried about in Tennessee's offense then? Outside of DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, I mean, it would obviously be Derrick Henry. I mean, it was that was pretty simple. I mean, it was let's pour out everything to stop the run, right? And that was the plan. So you get downfield opportunities.
But there were still two dudes on D-Hop like half the time, and they still couldn't stop them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think you're making a good point. I would just say for me, I don't like, just to be clear, I'm arguing because this is the side I agree with. I'm not betting on Miami, just to be clear. I'm a prop better. This past the prop, right? Just to be very clear. I will say the final thing I want to say though is I don't think it's a good enough number to bet on Miami. If Miami was in Dallas and they were underdogs, then I would bet on Miami 100%. But at the time being, it's not going to be a spread bet for me. I think we could keep going all day. I agree with what you're saying. I think, can we agree on maybe an over and just keep moving?
I'm loving that game for overs, man.
Okay, there we go.
Game for overs.
Do you want to move on to
50 and a half? 50 and a half total. We don't see 50s anymore. No, we don't see those.
I agree. I like the over in that one too, to be completely honest. And I see Billy asking about Tyreek in the chat as well. That's the X factor, right? Tyreek is the ultimate X factor. For me, I think he plays, and I think he's not super held back. I don't know what his prop lines are. I don't know if they're actually even out yet.
Probably high. Pretty fucking high, bro.
But if they give us any sort of leeway to buy low, then that's something I'm going to be considering. But we'll see. That probably won't be an option.
Yeah, I'm not betting on Tyreek, bro. He just absolutely just
86.5 receiving yards.
He shredded my best ball lineups. I had 3 best ball teams all rolling. My number one best ball team went out because I had Tyreek, and I had to sit there and take a 10 from Jerry Jeudy. That would be my Tyreek spot. That was disgusting. He got me out of there. I only have one that made it through to this next round, and man, I am so heavy on the Cowboys and nobody else owning any Cowboys because they sucked so bad last week. So let's go, Dak. 350. Throw it to Ferguson and CeeDee because I have both of them. That's my full stack. So I'm going to need a big show out there.
Yeah. And just to wrap up, too, I think I might bet Tyreek 86.5. Maybe a half unit spot just because I'm a little bit worried about injury, but that feels like a race to injury. Like 86.5 is a number he's going to hit in like 100% of games where he's healthy enough to play 4 quarters. In a high-paced matchup like this, only reason he's missing this year is when either one, he plays the Jets, who seemingly have done a pretty good job of limiting him, or 2, they beat the other team by 80 points. So I think that's a solid option at 86.5. When if he wasn't, wasn't injured, it'd probably be what, like 101, 102, something like that.
Yeah, somebody will have to let me know the weather on that game before we get going here. But let's talk about the other one. We got a 5.5-point dog. Man, that is big. I was not expecting the Ravens to be almost a full touchdown dog in San Francisco. 46.5 total. Juice to the over. Ooh. Stu, what's your thoughts on this one? This is a bigger line than I expected.
Yeah, I got some of the good early line at 3 for what do you call it? Not the Ravens, sorry, for the 49ers right there. But this is a whole different game, right? When you double a spread pretty much, I think it probably hit 6 at a certain point before closing. I mean, we got till Monday, by the way. People want to make their money back. When you lose a couple bucks, you go, 49ers, hey, come on, look at CMC. They can't sell me, right? We got to add a little bit more to 49ers. So I think if you do like the Ravens, I'd wait for 6. I would not be playing at 5.5 right here. My thing with this game is I think this might be the two best teams in football playing each other. I like the Ravens against pretty much anyone else except them, to be completely honest. Like, I think the way the Ravens play, they're going to go wherever. They're used to these ugly conditions. They're used to whatever. They're going to run the ball against whoever, and it works. Their inside zone running isn't even very efficient, and they do it against teams that are amazing at stopping inside zone running, like the Jaguars. And it just keeps working because they're used to this style of play. The Harbaugh system has been working. Obviously, we got a little bit more creative this year, got a little of that Georgia influence, passing the ball downfield a little bit more. But to me, the biggest problem, I think, for the Ravens comes on the defensive side of the ball, where this is a very strong defense. Can they stop the run is really the question. I mean, because just like I said, the Ravens can run on anyone. So can the 49ers, right? And that was the biggest thing with the Eagles game. And I think that was something that was holding a lot of people back, was like, I think CMC's probably held down a little. Look how good. They haven't let anyone go over 50 rush yards, for the Eagles. And then look what happened. He's CMC. This is the best rushing system in football. I would have taken, lesser players than CMC. I would have taken Elijah Mitchell against the Eagles to have 50 rushing yards if he was the starter in that game, right? It's telling you how good this system is. And now you can plug in an MVP candidate. So for me, that alone is enough to warrant the 3. But I don't know if that gets us to 6 is the question for me, especially as a big Ravens fan on the year, as a Ravens Super Bowl winner ticket holder on the season. I mean, it's going to be a good one. So I would not lay the 5.5 for the 49ers at this point.
Yeah, dude, I'm really kind of mad that they're not giving me defensive props on FanDuel right now for that. Because I bet you Roquan got like 25 tackles this game. Bro's going to have like 25 tackles.
I could
anything that goes up the middle, anything that gets to the side, that dude is so good. Like watching him in Chicago long enough, man, that dude was a beast, man. He's going sideline to sideline. Hey, and if you're wearing number 0 on defense, bro, you got to be a stud.
His tackles assist is only 8.5, which is
on DraftKings. I'm not.
Yeah, it's on Draft or on Caesars. I assume DraftKings as well.
It's not on FanDuel. There's nothing on.
Yeah,
FanDuel
never. Yeah, FanDuel doesn't do tackles assists. Yeah. They're or if they do, it's maybe like 5 minutes before game. So you're never gonna have much.
I want to take that then.
But you don't understand that. That's a terrible line, or it's either a terrible line or I'm missing. It was 10.5 last week to give you context.
It should be 26.5, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what right. This would be like if Tyreek Hill's line or Justin Jefferson, whatever's line was 100 receiving yards, and then they moved it down to 75 against Washington. That's what that would be like. So that's really confusing for me to see that. But honestly, I like everything. Roquan is just old, man. Betting on these old linebackers is I know he's really good. I don't want to slander Roquan. I won't go there. I'll just say he's been a little.
I was gonna say you talking.
Yeah, I was gonna. I don't want to over exaggerate or anything like that. I just want to say from a betting perspective, constantly hitting that number as a linebacker is really tough. And I have a defensive prop in that game. I'm going a different direction than Roquan, but 8.5 is like a suspiciously low number for that,
bro. How old do you think this dude is? He's not.
Well, yeah. No, I know.
He's like my age, bro.
I know. I always group him with Bobby Wagner because they're always the same props every single week. I know they're not the same player, but that's why I
think Bobby Wagner is probably 15 years older than this.
That's why we've had to do a quick pivot. Okay?
Oh my gosh. I remember watching this dude in college, like not that long ago. There is no way.
Yeah, no. Roquan, and I mean Queen there as well. Like this is I don't want to. And by the way, I said the Ravens' second best linebacker core in football, besides the team they're playing this week. So I don't mean any. I just mean from a pure betting perspective, as someone that's bet Roquan multiple times, hitting 10 tackles and assists is hard as fuck. It just is. It's incredibly hard. So that's where my frustration comes from a betting perspective. But yeah, I don't want any Roquan smoke. I don't. I know you're watching right now, pal. Big fan out there. Keep up the great work. I will be betting on your teammate this week, but that's okay.
All right. Well, we'll save that one because your first one is in the first game of the week. So I'll get you over there. Let's get it started, guys. We got 40 of you guys live in here. Let's hit that like button. Let's get 100 likes on this video today. We've been smoking these. Let's get 100 likes on here. Let's start them off, Stu.
Oh, yeah. We're going to start off a little bit uglier right here. Like I said, I have a 1.5 unit spot. Sorry. I have a 1.5 unit spot coming in a minute right here. But this one, I gotta make you guys earn it first. I got to make you guys see maybe the uglier play first. But I really like this one. I think this is a play we have a good edge on. I'm going Najee Harris over 12.5 rush attempts, minus 115. I like the yards. I like the rush attempts. I went back and forth between both. I might even end up getting to maybe the yards in like an alt line fashion later in the week, whether it's maybe a ladder, something like that. I know the Warren Najee debate has been an interesting one all year, with a lot of people really just saying Warren should be the lead back right here. But at the end of the day, we always talk about being on the same side as the coaching staff, not necessarily on NFL Twitter that's screaming at the coaching staff, right? And we've seen that there's a consistent balance and touches between this team, and Warren is obviously being more involved because he's a good player, but his role by and large is the 10 carry, 5 catches kind of role. Well, in a game script that allows it, Najee Harris is the 14, 15, 16 bruiser, I'm going to wear you down kind of running back. And to me, that becomes really, really appealing in this matchup, especially because of a very specific player, that's really underrated. DJ Reader, a guy that went down last week, instantly hit the live back for the other running back. Easy cash right there with the over right there. On the season so far, without DJ Reader, with over 100 snaps, over 100 RB carries, running backs are averaging 5.9 yards per carry against the Bengals this season. That's over 100 rush sample this year. That's insane. 5.9, that's awful, right? That is, so I understand a guy like Najee Harris is not the most efficient running back in the league, but what he has shown is a good ability to, tear out burst runs. Still at the end of the year, this is still a guy that's top 10 in the NFL right now in runs of over 15 plus yards and runs of over 20 plus yards. So while Najee isn't like the explosive back in the sense that like an Achane is, where he can make you miss with that incredible twitch. He's the guy that when you give him 14, 15 carries, he's going to knock down a linebacker in his way, and he's going to take that 17, 18, 19 yards. And that's why you still see the longest rush up in that 14 yards range, despite the fact that most guys in this carry range are much lower. So for me, I think he has success on the ground right here. When you look at the game script, right? Pittsburgh was really good against Cincinnati when these two teams squared off earlier in the year. That was a really impressive game from them. They were able to control pace. And now, obviously, a guy like Jake Browning on the other side, I think has a lot of trouble. So when we look at what Pittsburgh wants to do, they want to control the pace. They want to establish the run. They're protecting a backup quarterback. That is awful, right? That is terrible. They do not want to be throwing the ball. They're going to be going into this game plan thinking, how can we avoid letting Mitchell Trubisky control the outcome of this game? That's the worst possible.
Rudolph, bro.
Oh my God.
They benched him.
I forgot. Oh my God, Mason Rudolph is back. You're right. I did read that. Doesn't really matter to me, obviously.
They're both dogs, so it don't matter.
I was gonna say, if Mason Rudolph was better than Mitchell Trubisky in practice, maybe they would have started him before they started Mitchell Trubisky for these last couple terrible games. So either way, the battle of the terrible backup quarterbacks. Both running backs are going to see success here. I think it'll be a similar game to last game. Najee 15 for 99, and then Warren came in with an additional 12, I believe, for 40-something with a couple catches. That's how I see the split in this game. Once again, 5.8 yards per carry without DJ Reader this season. This is one of the most dominant run stuffers in the league. And you got to remember, that's something, if I know that, the coaching staff knows that. Where do you attack the missing DJ Reader? It's up the middle. Those are the kind of runs Najee's going to have. Jaylen Warren is more of an outside runner. You want to get him in space. Let him get the ball in his hands with a little bit of tempo. Najee's going right through the hole of this defense. I think the carries are the safer play right here, but once again, I'll be playing the ladder. I want some exposure to that 70, 80 yards range, and then I think 100 is a good cherry on top.
All right, Stu. Now you got me thinking here. I'm in the fantasy semis, right? 1 seed here coming in. Team is pretty injured. I've been pretty much just relying on Trey McBride, Amon-Ra, and CeeDee carrying me to the promised land, right? So I have Bijan, who's just I have to start him. If I bench him, then Arthur Smith might actually come to his senses. So he has to stay in my lineup. My running back 2, though, I got Najee, but I also have David Montgomery, and I did have Ty Chandler for the last 5-6 weeks. Who are you playing in that RB2 spot?
Wait, did you say you're playing Bijan and you have who else?
David Montgomery against the Minnesota Vikings, which is tough. They're very nice.
Damn.
I got Ty Chandler. I'll probably start him if Madison's out, right? Kind of have to, or I go with Najee in a great matchup here.
The problem is I like Najee yards a lot. I don't like touchdowns. I don't want to mess with I don't think there's going to be that many touchdowns at all in this game. And David Montgomery's the opposite. I don't like his yards, but touchdowns. If you bench him, he's scoring 4 touchdowns, maybe 5. Maybe he's going to set a record if you bench him. So my suggestion would completely seriously, if you bench him, you should be betting his touchdown and his 2 touchdowns, not just from a financial perspective. I don't know how much
mental hedge.
Yeah, but it could be a financial hedge. If you're at risk to make money this week as well from winning your fantasy, I'm just saying it's not, the smartest decision in the world. I'm just saying. The point is,
if Madison sits, dude, I just don't know because that dude's going to play 90% of the snaps, bro.
But would you really go Chandler over Montgomery in the same game? I guess I couldn't hate on that, but because the Lions' rush defense is good.
They're very good. But
yeah,
he had 6 targets last week too, though.
He did. I know. I can't put that line so low. I bet the yards and I won on it, but I didn't. I should have got the receiving as well. It was so obvious. We said it on the show.
Bro, had 29 opportunities last week.
Yeah,
I don't see Montgomery. Right. Dude, it's tough, but I have to see Madison out. I have Montgomery in there at the moment. Just you made me rethink about it now. Talking Najee here. We'll talk about 2 guys that will be starting for me this week, and that's going to be Big Bad Baker. I'm starting Baker Mayfield in the fantasy semifinals, obviously, as a Joe Burrow owner. You got to patch some stuff. It's between him and Jordan Love, and I'm signing up with Baker today. I'm going to be rolling Baker this week against Jacksonville. Pass funnel team here. Obviously, we talk about it all the time. They are so bad at running the ball, dude. But I love Rachaad White. The dude finds a way to get the job done. Doesn't matter what he has to do. But, last week, chunk reception yards. Obviously, Baker went for 380. 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans is playing out of his mind here. I don't think Jacksonville can slow these guys down. Obviously, I really want Trevor Lawrence to play for this bet. But even without, Baker Mayfield's been absolute dude lately, man. Since the last 5 weeks, this dude has just been on one. He's just been filling up the stat sheet. Obviously, you talk about last week, 381, 4 touchdowns. The Atlanta game, don't want to talk about it because that was such a bad game. He threw it for 2. They turned it over in the red zone on the 5-yard line twice. Atlanta did with Desmond Ridder. So he only had to throw for 144, but had 3 touchdowns, right? Yeah. So that's obviously pretty important. Threw for 200 on a Carolina defense that you never really have to do anything with. Threw for 199 on Indy, right? So I think this game is going to be a little bit higher scoring, a little more fun than people are expecting it to be. I'm hoping that Trevor Lawrence plays, but 200 yards for Baker with Mike Evans playing the way he is. Seeing Chris Godwin actually go back to vintage was awesome, right? I think he had 16 targets. They're finally using him the way they want. You get Kate Otten in there doing a little bit of that dirty work in the red zone. Sign me up for Baker this week. But CeeDee's my guy. I want to bet on. I'll probably bet him straight. I'll probably ladder him up. I already talked about number 1 receivers against these dudes, right? Miami can outscore you. They can. And we know that, right? So I think CeeDee's just going to be in motion. He's not going to have any one of these big corners on him all the time. He's going to be moving around. He's outside. He's inside. He's slot. Dude, sometimes they line him up in the damn backfield running those short little routes there. He does the pop passes, all that stuff. They're wanting to get the ball in his hands. I looked at these numbers since the bye week. In Mike McCarthy, I hate the guy. I hate him. But one thing, since the bye week, CeeDee Lamb has not had less than 9 targets in a game and has had 10 plus in every single game but 2. Right? We're seeing 17 targets in some of these games, dude. it's tough for me to think that if we're not getting like a 70% catch rate on these, if we're getting that, I'm assuming 14, 15 targets. Miami's obviously going to be able to score on this Dallas defense. 70 yards is wild for me to get this spot there. I understand last week pouring rain and all that, but the two games that he didn't have 10 targets, Carolina, where they just smoked them, and sorry, I didn't want to bring up Washington, but Washington, where they're up by 35. They don't even need them. So that's the Brandon Cooks game. That's a Michael Gallup game, right? You're wanting to get those dudes who don't do anything in those big games, the ball in the one where, you can cook any one of those dudes in the back end. We saw Cooper Kupp 20 yards wide open against him last week. Like, there was no one within 20 yards. So don't need to talk shit on him. But what I'm saying is CeeDee's going to have 15 targets this game. If I could bet on targets, I'd bet on it. But I think CeeDee's going to absolutely cook here. I'll probably take a straight anyway. But I like Baker a lot too, and I think I'm going to be going there on a pass funnel team here.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, those CeeDee examples are a good reason why the box score lies to you if you don't watch a game sometimes, right? You think, oh, he must have just done something wrong. But like you said, with the Atlanta one on the Baker side, and then like you said with if you watch that Washington game, I mean, if the end zone wasn't there, he would have had 550 yards in that game, right? All of his catches, he was just wide open, and he was too close to the end zone, and he scored too quickly. It was the Cooper Kupp had the opposite last week. He was wide open, and he had all 70 yards to run down. So I agree with you, man. I mean, like I said, no matter how you feel about this game, I don't see how you make an argument with CeeDee having a bad game. I mean, everything he does well mimics really what you want to take advantage against Miami, right? He's not a one-note wide receiver. Even a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, so you could make an argument, well, he wants to go deep. He doesn't want to go over the middle, right? That Hopkins isn't going to eat in the short and intermediate. He's not running the same kind of routes, but he's still dominated in a tougher matchup. Now you got it like CeeDee's going to dominate over the middle, right? And we've seen terrible wide receivers have a lot of success over the middle this year against Miami. That's where you want to target him. So I like CeeDee in this one. I like Ferguson. I think a lot of these guys over the middle, if you can be involved in different parts of the playbook, I think you're going to have a good passing game in this one. So I agree. CeeDee over 100 seems pretty easy here.
Yeah, and I mean, I brought up the number one options, right? I mean, you can go all the way down the gauntlet if you want to. Even Darren Waller went for 8 for 80 on these guys, right? I mean, that was when he was healthy, one of the last games he was healthy, but that shows you across the middle. We saw DeAndre Hopkins on the outside. I understand they weren't fully healthy and they're healthy now, but that doesn't matter to me. They're not staying with CeeDee. Dude, CeeDee's double teamed on almost every one of these, and the dude finds a way to get open. They are designing plays to get this man open. Like, that's the whole point. It's the first read immediately out. And if you do talk about blitzes, it's probably going to CeeDee. It's either him or Jake Ferguson. So those are your two options. And that's really where we're going, because you're seeing Brandon Cooks down the field, and then you're seeing Michael Gallup down the field. So really like this spot for him. And I think that he obviously shows out in this big time game, because he's shown out in the other primetime games. The Eagles games, he showed out, right? The big games like that. Obviously the Bills, Dak didn't have a good game at all, so there's not much you can do on that. But I really like this bounce back spot for him. It should be some nice weather down there too.
Yeah, I agree. I like that spot. I like that combo. We've been doing really good with these combos, by the way, on the year. I know both of us have had a lot of success where even like the regular number, something crazy happens and you still get that extra benefit, right? Because at the end of the day, variance is crazy and crazy stuff happens. So definitely like the spot right there. Good way to take advantage of some low CeeDee lines this week.
Beautiful. All right, Stu, 1.5 unit. Love to see it. Let's make some money.
Oh, yeah. We're going Kyle Hamilton over 5.5 tackles plus assist at minus 130. This is a 1.5 unit play. If you're not familiar with Kyle Hamilton, then you're probably not a guy that watches the defensive side of the ball. Maybe you're only rooting for your offensive guys, which is, no problem at all. But the point being, this is maybe the best safety in football, right? And that may be like, whoa, that's a kind of a wild thing for you to say, random guy on this screen that I'm watching right now. Why are you arguing the second-year safety is the best safety in the league? Well, I'm not even going to make that argument for Kyle Shanahan will make that argument for you, because when they asked him in the post-game presser, I mean, he was singing his praises like crazy. He called him already the best safety in the league in his second year and said it's going to be an absolute pain in the ass to plan around him. And then obviously, some other fluff and all that around him. But I mean, I agree is the point. I've been kind of, circling around it. I think a couple weeks ago I said one of the best. But I mean, this guy, when you watch him, the things he does, it's so it's so modern because he's essentially a slot corner playing safety and linebacker, right? And normally when you get these linebackers that, oh, they can do everything, or you're a safety that can do everything, you really can't, right? But when you watch Kyle Hamilton in coverage alone, he's spectacular, right? So the reason I like this is because, one, he's one of the best run defending safeties in the league. So the volume is going to be there. You obviously mentioned Roquan all over the field in the middle, no doubt about it, not taking anything. But Roquan is a 10 tackles a week kind of guy every week. And Hamilton has been crushing this number, right? Over these back-to-back 7 and 8 tackle weeks, right, coming in. I thought this was going to be 6.5 minus 130. To be completely honest, when every week I try to set my lines for the guys that I want to bet on, right? My line was 6.5 minus 125. I was even kind of scared that this play was going to be obvious and they were going to put it at 7.5. So when I opened up and I saw DraftKings still had minus 130, I was shocked. I knew it had to be more than a 1-unit play right here because I think this is a great angle. I mean, I understand he's a young guy, but the snaps have been trending upwards, right? All year. He's an every down player now, right? At the beginning of the season, you saw 3 and 4 tackles. That brings his season-long averages down. He's been dominating. This is a 7 tackle a game guy over the last 6 weeks, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for his recent performance. I think we've actually seen some pretty comparable teams. Jacksonville, the way Jacksonville operates their offense, they are highly dependent on short screen passes, generating a lot of yak, right? Getting guys the ball in space. I mean, that sounds so Evan Ingram. Look how they use Evan Ingram. Look how they use ETN in the receiving games. There are a lot of similarities to the way these two teams set up their offenses. Obviously went over this number. I would say the same exact thing if you look at the Chargers. Obviously a much less successful version. But when you look at how Austin Eckler, how involved he is in the receiving game, the amount of touches you get out of the backfield, those low A-dot tight end touches, Hamilton also crushed this number in that game. For me, he's going to be pivotal, not only in stopping the run game. I think we actually get a couple bonus coverage tackles here. I think Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey are both going to see him in coverage a couple times in this game. And those are going to be the two guys that I love on the San Francisco side. So for me, who's most responsible then on the defensive side of the ball for kind of limiting these guys? Like Kyle Shanahan said, when you watch the tape, Kyle Hamilton is everywhere. He is amazing. One of the best safeties I've seen in the NFL at shedding tackles, right? Getting around those first wave of blocks as well. It'll be interesting. Juwan Jennings is one of the best wide receiver blockers in football. That'll be a nice little micro matchup if you care about that kind of nerdy shit over there as well on the side. Will Hamilton be able to shed Jennings' block? So if you want a little bonus correlated play, the reason I brought that up, it's because I've been playing Juwan Jennings unders a lot this season. I would love under 1.5 receptions because I do believe he plays 90% of snaps, right? Or not that much, but a lot. So you're thinking, why would you do that on a number so low? He's a blocker. Just like half the time people mad at George Kittle for blocking, like Juwan Jennings is a blocker out there. He'll get a 3rd down target and he'll get an end zone target. Outside of that, he's there to block. So for me, I think he's going to have his hands filled with guys like Kyle Hamilton who are spectacular at shredding these kind of blocks. So for me, it's not directly correlated, but it's a little kind of weird pattern I found right there. So for me, I love the Hamilton over. I truly think this is a dominant player right now that's not necessarily getting the respect he deserves. Even compare him to another young player in the same tackle department, Delpit. I played Grant Delpit tackles and assists at 6.5 against San Francisco. These are very, very similar players right here. I love Hamilton. This is just a bad line. They don't know any better. It's defensive. I don't think these smart defensive groups, which now surprisingly do exist, there are people that are great at sniping these numbers. Maybe because it's a Monday night football game, they haven't got this one yet. I don't know what the deal is, but I would expect this to be 6.5 before game time. Absolutely love Kyle Hamilton this week.
Beautiful. 1.5. You know, on me in there too as well. I wish I'm going to be seeing a Rivers book here. One of those, they don't have his lines out yet. So it might be one I got to wait a little bit to grab. But my last one, I'm going plus money. We know plus money Bob's in here at some point. He'll be popping in here. Got to get that plus money. 2 of my guys, dude. Honestly, it's kind of crazy. But the guys I really like this week are all on my fantasy team, all on my big fantasy league. These 2 are on it too, as well as CeeDee and Baker. Those guys will be all starting here for me. But I really like these matchups for him. I love Trey McBride this week. You got no Marquise Brown. Dude, it is wild to see Trey McBride's numbers. Obviously, Ertz was out for a couple of the games before Kyler. But once Kyler comes in there, it is just like, wow, everything just opens up, right? I mean, you look at it, his first, let's just go first 5 games of the season. The dude combined for 8 targets. He's getting that weekly. He's getting the last 3 weeks, he's at 9 targets or more. Last week was 11, right? And he did that against San Francisco. That's really fucking impressive, man. This dude has been open. The dude finds a way. And even getting some chunk plays, 10 yards, at least a 10-yard catch in every single one of these games, which is really important when I'm trying to get 50 yards. I'm grabbing the 50 yards over the 5 catches because it's a 60-cent difference, and it gets me in that plus money. I'd rather do that. This dude's been, like I said, getting the chunk plays, doing a lot of those like 10, 13-yard catches, those ones that really add up down the road, right? And especially when you think if they're going to be losing in this game, this is what they do, man. They just send them in the middle, dump it off. I understand the Bears have a pretty good linebacking core. I'm not bashing them there, but if you're going to give me 11 targets for a tight end and give me this line at an affordable rate to combine with a guy like Amon-Ra and get plus money, I'll be all over it, right? You can look at his target share, all that, but man, dude, this is nuts. 9 targets or more in 4 of the last 5 games. Hasn't been under 5 catches in the last 6 games, and we're getting chunk plays. A nice 38-yarder. It was nice to see that last week where he actually has the ability to break one off here. You can't really double team him. It's tough because he does a lot of those like chip blocks and then goes out. Like it just like the timing is there, and Kyler does a very good job of getting him the ball where he is and where he is when he's open. So I really like Trey McBride this week. I feel like that's not big news. I feel like a lot of people do, which is why I'm buying it down. I could see 8 catches for 50 yards, right? Instead of trying to go to that 60-yard range. Sign me up. I like the spot. Amon-Ra. Dude, everybody talking about Laporta last week, right? And for good reason. Laporta popped off. This boy went for 100 in a tutty, too. Nobody's even talking about that. All they're talking about is Sam Laporta, which I get it. He's a rookie doing all this crazy stuff, going to break some records, but like that might have been the most quiet 7 for 110 in a touchdown I've ever seen in my life. Like, nobody's like, oh, yeah, Amon-Ra won me this week because they're all talking about the 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
Dude, he almost doubled up Laporta's yardage. I think he did, actually, in there. So, just looking at the usage and what he's going to be needed to do here, right? You're probably going to need Montgomery in there for pass blocking in this spot because they're going to just send the absolute house at Jared Goff and make him beat this blitz, right? And who usually comes through in those? It's the number 1 receiver. It's that guy underneath, right? I relate it to, I don't even want to say the fucker's name, man. I don't want to say it. Samaje Perine. 7 catches on this defense, bro. When they started sending the house at him in that same Vikings matchup, he had 7 catches for 60 yards. Fuck Samaje Perine. But I do think that could help us out here on those underneath routes when those blitzers are coming, right? Especially in a 2-minute drill. I think that's going to be really, really important. I mentioned to you before, we might see Laporta have to stay in a little bit longer than he usually does because we're going to probably see 7 dudes coming at Jared Goff because a lot of people know he's not great under pressure, right? He's not great there. And this is the first time they're playing each other, right? I mentioned that to you before. They got him twice in 3 weeks. So I think they're just going to hound this dude, just send it at him. They're very good against the run, which I was not like expecting to see those numbers like analytically where it was. But this is going to be a tough matchup for both of those backs. Probably a little bit easier for Gibbs to get onto the outside. But man, when the going gets tough, you want to get that ball into your best player's hands in these closer matchups, right? You see this guy pop off, right? The Packer game was a 1-score game, 11 targets. Bears, a 1-score game, 11 targets. Chargers, 1-score game, 9 targets for 156, right? They've been finding a way to stay in these closer games, and they're not blowing teams out like they were early on in the year. The only one, again, you got a game log look, but you also have to make sure that you watch these games. That Saint game, don't take anything from that Saints game. They were up 20-0 in like 5 minutes, bro. They didn't even throw the ball. And then, yes, towards the end, it's like, oh, it was a close game. No, it wasn't. It was not a close game. It was just like this last week for the Rams. You can't use that. Those are all garbage time touchdowns because Derek Carr has to get paid because the dude's ass. I don't care what he looked like yesterday. The dude had to play on those when they don't even give a shit. So none of those touchdowns even matter. But all I'm saying is Amon-Ra is going to be open. They're going to have to feed this dude the ball because I don't know if they're going to be able to run it like they've been lately. I really don't. I think that Vikings pass rush is going to get it to them. I mean, even the Packers pass rush got to these dudes, and the Packers pass rush ain't shit. So now you're going to bring another dude on top of that, dude. I think you got to get that ball out quick. I think they're going to know that. Ben Johnson just said he gets 15 mil if you want to get him as a head coach, bro. You better come out and put together a damn good plan. You want 15 mil. So it's going to Amon-Ra. Sign me up.
Yeah. Oh, the memes are writing themselves. That's a good point. If he doesn't, then the memes are going to go crazy on that. I forgot about that. But I will say, I came into this show not planning on betting Amon-Ra St. Brown this week, and now I'm going to go out of this show feeling dumb for not having that coming in, right? Because I think you kind of nailed it. We were talking a little bit before the show. I was saying I like Brown, no doubt about it. But I was saying I also like Laporta. And I didn't watch last week's game, by the way, so I don't even have the recency bias. I actually forgot he was amazing. I was doing Thanksgiving stuff, so I didn't watch that one. But I think the biggest thing you said to me that kind of flipped it right there, and you just hit it again, was with this blitz, with all the pressure, Laporta's gonna have to chip. Someone's got to keep Goff upright. And Laporta he's an Iowa boy. He's not a freaking Evan Ingram. He's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. He blocks. He gets in there. So for me, I was kind of looking forward to betting on Laporta, but I think you brought up a very good point that the blitz is coming all game. We know that. This is a 60% blitz rate team. They more than almost double than any other team in football. So we know what the plan is. We know Goff is going to have to get the ball out fast. And I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the king of that. He is the king of these low A-dot receptions. Before every good wide receiver was doing it, Amon-Ra was doing it 2 years ago, right? Before Jamar Chase had half of his check downs as targets, right? That was Amon-Ra. Easy screen passes, bubble screens, get him the ball quickly. That's why Johnson has been so good over here. I agree. I'm going to be adding Amon-Ra to my card as well. I think it's a great spot right here.
Yeah, no, and I mean, dude, it's just going to be another portion of the run game, right? Because I just don't see them being able to get into that type of game that they want, that punching in the mouth type of game, dude.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkins is about to go for 250, 3 tutties on these boys. So it's like, you're going to have to catch up, bro. You're going to have to catch up. He's going for 300. He's going back to Detroit. He's going to go off. So,
and can I shout out my guy, Ivan Pace Jr., who cashed out for us last week on the show as well. It was sweaty. I think I might be going back to Pace. The thing is, the Lions, I don't know if they're going to run like a lot, because this is a good rush defense right here. But Pace is a big reason why they've been so good at the linebacker position recently. I mean, how many carries do you think Montgomery gets right here? Because for me, I think if Montgomery and Gibbs combine for 20 carries, I feel like Pace probably goes over.
Yeah, dude, I'm just mad that they ain't giving it to me at on the Canby books. They won't even put Pace's thing out there. He wasn't even up there last week. They're not giving him here. Like, they're giving me Brian Branch. They'll give me Aiden Hutchinson at 2.5 tackles for freaking minus 200, but they ain't gonna give me Pace. So.
I don't have Pace either. I don't know why. That's weird. I guess I'll keep you guys updated on that. But that was one of my initial thoughts. We cashed on him last week in a matchup against a team that barely ran the ball, right? That's why that was so sweaty. The Lions theoretically love running the ball. I don't know if they're going to change up their game plan a lot. I don't think they ever, completely abandon the run. They're the Lions. Dan Campbell still has got to run at least 15 times a game. So that's a good reason to follow on Twitter, right? There'll be some Ivan Pace updates at some point this week.
Yeah, and I think they're going to start slow. I think the Lions start slow because this is such a different defense than any other defense out there right now. Like, it's because they're just so, I don't want to bash them, but they're just not individually that talented that they have to do it this way. So their corners don't get cooked, right? And I mean, that's doing with what you can with what you got, right? And they're not, like I said, they're not overly talented individually on this end, but they're finding a way. Shout out to Flores for doing his thing there and making this a defense that's formidable. These last couple of weeks have been very, very good performances from them. And I mean, what 3-0 game, bro? They got a 3-0 game in there. So that'll obviously boost up your defensive numbers there a little bit as well.
Hey, man, I agree. I've been singing the Flores praises. I've been saying what you said since like week 2, okay? Nobody gave me any credit for that. So I want to take my victory lap at some point. Shout out to Brian Flores. It'll be at the end of the year, or maybe it'll be whenever there's Cowboys in prime time and they talk about how Quinn deserves to be a head coach again over some of these other guys. We'll see. But, yeah, definitely love it. I think we got some good spots today.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, I got to ask, what's your thought on Jay Jetta's numbers this week? Just because first game back, still got every prop, He had his yards and his receptions. Is that a guy you might be looking at this week? I've seen a lot and heard a lot on my fantasy radios, listening to whatever. A lot of people kind of iffy on Jay Jetta this week, obviously with the Hawkinson stuff and Jordan Addison showing out. I think this is an alpha game for him. This just kind of screams alpha game for Jay Jetta, dude. Just like we gave Jordan Addison his game. Now you're going to go out and put up, 150 and 2 touchdowns. It just kind of feels like that,
I agree. I like Jefferson. I mean, I'm not going to be on the Hawkinson bandwagon this week. I like it from a viewer perspective. I think it'll be fun, but I'm not betting Hawkinson personally. I'd rather bet Jefferson. I think he personnel wise is just more aligned to beat this team, right? This is also a heavy man team as well. He's going to get some one-on-one reps. I guess Justin Jefferson doesn't get too many of those in general. So we'll see if that actually end up does happening. But at the end of the day, great success against this team in the past. I mean, for me, someone's got to score. Someone's got to bring them down the field. I like Chandler. I think that's an upgrade. If you've watched the show, I definitely think that's an upgrade on the season so far. But it's not going to be the run game. That's the point. It's not a great run blocking offensive line. Hawkinson, I think he's safe in his 5 for 50. But like you said, is Addison the wide receiver 3 keep going to giving us these crazy spike weeks? No. I truly think it's Jefferson. The problem is I was hoping they gave me value on longest reception the other week, where all of his other numbers were like a little higher, but the longest reception was still like 22, 23, which is disrespectful, Jefferson. But now it's back up to 25, which is, where it was a little more pre-injury. So always an injury with a race with injuries is scary, but I like Jefferson this week.
All right. With Jefferson, I'm seeing a 6.5 on Canby books right now, minus 105. Or I have receiving yards at 81.5. Which one are you leaning here? Just because obviously he's going to get the volume, but he's also, big play waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's always the hard part. I mean, for me, my gut is always going to be yards in that situation. It's how much does the Nick Mullins factor affect this, right? How much does he change the game scope of maybe we're not going deep at all anymore? Maybe we're keeping everything on the first and second level, right? We can't get down to the field as much. He's a great yak guy, sure. But I think even though my gut is telling me that yards is the better play, I think receptions might actually be a little bit more safer just with this Mullins offense.
Awesome. Great breakdown for sure. Always love that. Stu, let's get a quick recap in here. 55 of you guys in here watching live with us. Thank you for tuning in. It must be just because Stu's got the hat on or something. I don't know what it is. But, hey, hit that like button on there. Make sure we do. I'm going to have to check before we get into our long shots how many we got on this video. Let's get that up to 50 in the live chat here, boys. Let's get it moving here. Let's go recap here.
Sounds good. Starting out, like I said, a rare 1.5 unit play. I believe only the third of the season on the show. We're going Kyle Hamilton. If you do not know, the safety. I should have said this earlier. The safety on the Ravens. This is a defensive prop. Over 5.5 tackles plus assists, minus 130 over on DraftKings. Then we went, I know a little uglier. We got Najee Harris, baby. A guy that, hey, cashed for me on the show before. Been very good to us this year. We're going Najee Harris over 12.5 rush attempts, minus 115.
Beautiful. I'll be on Trey McBride, baby. 50 yards. St. Brown, 6 catches plus 101. We got CeeDee, 70 yards. Baker, 200. Make sure you guys go hit that now. It's moving to, it's like minus 121 right now. So make sure you're locking those two in and making sure you're getting those spots in there. Stu, I don't got my long shot from you yet. What do you got for us?
Can I ask you one quick pivot before we go into that? Because we haven't done it yet, and I feel like we got to do it. Can we do dog of the day this week, man?
We didn't dog of the day, did we?
I got to get in some dogs. Fucking 13-2, baby. I got to get some more dogs going. And hey, I brought it up because I don't know if you've looked too close. I'll obviously give you a minute or so if you haven't, but I think the dogs are going to be barking this week. I just did Joe Delara's podcast last night for NBA, and I said I love the favorites on Christmas. I think it's a favorites massacre on Christmas, but I don't think it's the same in the NFL. I think the dogs are going to be barking all over the slate. So I definitely wanted to, make sure we didn't move on before hitting it.
Okay, what you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an ugly one for the official one. I like a lot of dogs. Like I said,
I think you might be on the same one as me if it's as ugly as what you're saying.
It's the ugliest one. I'm going to the Patriots.
Patriots?
Plus 7.5. Oh, yeah. It's already been bet, baby. I can't even believe 7.5 is an option. I thought 7 would be the max, and I would play 7 as well. But 7.5 is now available in a couple spots at minus 120. Oh my God. Denver winning by more than a touchdown? What are we doing here? And I love Denver. I bet on Denver all the time. They're one of my most profitable teams this year. My biggest spread / total bet of the year was on them earlier in the season, but covering by more than a touchdown is crazy. If you've watched a Denver game all year long, they're playing like maximum ball control, slow pace, let our defense win. So are the Patriots. The Patriots can't move the ball. I mean, obviously the under at 34 is tempting to me, but man, 7.5 spread with a 34-point total, that's not a lot of margin right there. If the books are expecting an under game, they're really expecting Denver to that confidently beat them. Listen, I know this New England show is ugly. I'm not here to defend that or anything like that, but man, 7.5 is aggressive. I thought the max on this was 6.5. So for me, getting that number, I know it's ugly. We can talk other dogs if you want in the chat, if you're too scared, but this is my favorite.
That was my pick too, because it just screams like my college football type of bet, right? During the season when I see these really low totals, it's like, can the Patriots score? Can they score 14 points? Yes, it'll be ugly, all that, but how does Denver move the ball? They need to be able to run the ball well, or else they're not going to be able to run their play action stuff. Bro, Javonte Williams, bro, I might have to take under longest rush. I might have to do something, bro. I don't know what it is yet on the under there, but this is a brutal fucking matchup for him. Jaleel McLaughlin's just been an absolute no-show everywhere now. They don't run Samaje Perine, so it's like you're going to put this on Big Bad Russ to chuck it around there. I don't know, man. It's just
what it feels
I would rather. I mean, this might be an under game at 30 points, bro. It's gross.
No, I think you nailed it too. That's actually the part I didn't dive into. New England's now the number one rush DVOA defense, right? Over, I believe, the last 7 weeks or something like that. They've dominated, right? So their rush defense is amazing. Denver is a rush first team, but like you said, they haven't been efficient at all. I mean, I like Javonte as well, but the efficiency marks have been pretty brutal this year. So it's exactly like you said. If you're betting on Denver, you're betting that they Russ cooks, right? Which, I mean, I don't even hate Russ that much. It's just a bad spot for what this team wants to do, the way Denver wants to play. It's just a bad spot to ask them to cover by margin here too. So I'm glad we're on the same page. I thought I might even be getting a little too ugly for you right there, but
no, that literally was what I liked.
I will say, if that was too bad, I'm also going to be on the Colts this week against the Falcons, which I guess
I don't know, bro.
I know you
talked Smith about. Gets his job brought in, bro. He does it for 1 week.
That's a fair one. And I'll also say Arizona.
He only shows out once a year.
I can see that.
Once he gets his job brought up.
I see what you mean there. And that's not super unfair. I can get that. But I'll say Arizona as another dog at plus 180. I mean, what separates these two teams by 4.5 points? I'm not seeing it. The team with the better quarterback is the 4.5 point underdog. That's not a controversial thing to say. Kyler Murray's clearly the better quarterback than Justin. And I don't think Justin Fields is awful. I don't think he should be out of the NFL or anything like that. But I don't know why we're getting such a weird, actually coach and quarterback, right? That's what I say. If you want a system at the end of the day, you don't want to think coach, quarterback, that'll do you better than most things, right? Take the better. If the team has the better coach and quarterback, they have both. And now we're talking about this right here. I don't know. That's a weird line to me. So, and I mean, honestly, if Jacksonville, if they have the backup quarterback and that line gets a little crazy, I might go for the backup quarterback because I like Baker, but Tampa does not win by margin. They do the same thing. Real slow, real ugly as well. So not the one dog that will not be barking is the Commanders. Don't do that. I'm glad no one got that vibe. I'm glad no one typed in the chat, oh, Stu likes no, absolutely not. That is not the dog that is barking. That's a little chihuahua in the corner that, doesn't.
Trevor Siemian about to put them boys on the map, baby. Both for 300. Oh, my God. How many yards does Breece Hall have this week?
Somehow interceptions ladders, which is what you want to do right here. You said how many yards is he going to have passing? He's got to make up for it. He got benched last week. He's going to force it a lot. We'll say 236 with 2 picks. It's going to be ugly. He's going to get over 200. We're going to lose. I don't know what the Jets offense looks like. That's why I'm not going to bet like minus 160, but Or maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how sad I get about this stupid Commanders team. They should win. I'm rooting for them. Or sorry, they should lose. I'm rooting for them to lose. We should get a good draft pick now. So I hope they lose. Please don't bet the Commanders. That's my warning. Ladder, Sam Howell, interceptions. If you want some action on that game, that's where you go.
Okay. All right, so we're at an hour. We got to get going here, Stu. What do you got for a long shot for me?
Okay. Let's see. Well, obviously, like I said earlier, I like the Najee Harris, argument. But for me, we're not going to do the ladder for the official one. I'm going to go to a guy that maybe I've even gone to so many times you're getting tired of hearing his name. We're going to Jake Ferguson as the first leg of our touchdown parlay right here. A guy that, like I always say, is one of the most, involved tight ends in all of football, right? And he doesn't ever get that respect. So for me, he's plus 190 right now. And I'm going to combine him with the red zone legend, the one and only Mike Evans, baby. We're going Mike Evans. This guy, listen, he drops the ball a lot. He's really annoying. It's not fun to watch. I watch a lot of Mike Evans. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, ESPN has plus 155 for this right now. That's a bad line. That's just a bad line. No matter how you look at it, you nailed it earlier with your analysis. They're not going to be able to run on this team. So whether Baker wins or not, I have no clue. But you're telling me we're not going to get a couple red zone opportunities or a couple, fuck it, it's 3rd and 10. Let me air it down the field, right? Because there's going to be a lot of 3rd and 10s in this game because they love running on 1st and 2nd down right here. So for me, I just see too much potential down the field. And what do we know once happens inside the red zone? He's one of the most targeted wide receivers in football. So for me, getting 2 high-end targets like that, it's plus 640 over on ESPN Bet right now for Jake Ferguson and Mike Evans to have a touchdown.
I think I'm going to be a lame again, Stu, and just go with the guys that I have already. Dude, this is me. My 1 seed. These are my boys from high school. I haven't won this league in like 4 years. I think 5 years now. It's been 5 years, and injury has hit my team. But there's been 2 boys carrying me to the promised land, and that is CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to be going with both of them to have 10 catches at plus 1,100. 10 catch parlay. I mean, I think it's 1192.
That's
1192.
Yeah, that's
and I'm looking at this, right? Who have we seen on this team, do anything like this? And there really hasn't been anybody. I'm looking at DJ Moore just did this to him. He went for 11 for 110, right? And I like the route tree significantly better here for St. Brown. I think CeeDee's going to be in for, like I said, in these shootout type games. He is in 17 targets. 17, right? So I'm like, all right, I'll give you a 70% catch rate. He's getting there. All right. I love, give me a little bit of those old pop passes. Give me like 3 of those. Give me 3 extra catches in there. But 12-1 on 2 of the highest targeted guys in a spot where, we shouldn't have like blowouts either way. I think they're going to be struggling in the other portions of the game. I think Miami probably is able to nullify this running for Dallas, and they don't really want to run it. And then obviously you go to the other side, and I don't think that Detroit's going to run it as much as they usually do. So make Amon-Ra that wide receiver game and put in there as that running back, baby. He's going to be that short passing game here. So sign me up. I'm going to be rolling with both of them at almost 12-1. I feel like I've definitely bet on worse things.
No, man, somebody's going to watch this video and this is going to get posted in some Discord and it's going to be like 600 by game time. This is a fucking good number for what you're saying right here, because when you see the 10 catches, right, I love both of the guys individually. The biggest thing is the number at the end of the day when you're betting long shots, right? I was getting really worried that you're going to say both these guys are 10 catches for 600, right? I was getting, because to be honest, that's what FanDuel and these kind of places do to you sometimes when you have a good spot like this. So the fact that you're getting this at almost double what I was kind of worried about, that, ooh, I like what's Amon-Ra on his own right here, man, for 10.
Dude, they're both up there. 280 on Amon-Ra, 240 on CeeDee.
Yeah, that's a good line right there, man. I mean, look at this Vikings team. You said it. DJ Moore is the perfect example of just what recently happened. They collapse everything on the quarterback. The whole idea is get the ball out as soon as possible. And then you look at the Miami side, right? Same thing. Fangio, cover 2 shells. Safety's back. Keep everything in front of you. Like, this is a really good combination, right? I love both these guys for 10 catches. This is a good price. Like I said, I would tail this fast. Shout out to all the people still in here live. I do believe someone will watch this at some point, and this will be 800 by game time because this is a good price for this combination right here. So yeah, I mean, and I understand 2 years ago this would be a terrible price, by the way, for the OGs, but look at gambling streets right now and tell me that if you told me CeeDee was plus 190 for 9 catches or 10 catches, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like just knowing how it is now. So I think there's still some good value here, especially, I mean, Amon-Ra, obviously you already talked me into him, but I think this is a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, you can do the double ladder if you want, 7, 8, 9, 10 together. I mean, like I said, you want these guys that have those heavy target shares, and I just think that the defenses are going to be able to stop everything else. And these guys are the number ones, right? They're the guys that you want the ball in their hands. So, yeah, really like these spots. And we already went through our recap about 5-6 minutes ago. Stu, what do you got for the people before we head out? If you want the recap, check it back a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of stuff going on, busy time of year. Shout out our guy, Joe Delera. I just did his podcast last night, the Cash That podcast, where I actually did talk about a little bit of NFL, and then we did go into depth about all the NBA games as well on Christmas. That was fun. He's a guy that's been in my Discord for the last couple of years. Great dude, great capper, and someone that I'm a good friend with. So obviously was happy to go on there. That was super fun. I would highly recommend it. I saw DM Punk in the chat earlier. He said, I like how excited you guys get. Your voices get so high. Hey, that's what we're trying to do, baby. We're trying to bring the energy. If you like the energy, I was fired up last night. I did 4 podcast spots all day. I was tired. I'm done with podcasting. Okay. This is my last one before Christmas right here. You know, I'm not saying this is hard work, but the back pain is going to catch up on me. I've been sitting in front of this damn camera too much recently. So that being said, I'm happy to do it. I fucking love doing it. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. And I think we got some great plays today. So, you know, had to conquer the back pain, conquer, you know, all that stuff. Almost slandered the best linebacker in football by accident. You know, sometimes you're tired. You give me a pass. I think we killed it today. I think we got some good props out there. So like I said in the tweet, you know, almost 15 units before Christmas. It's a pretty good fucking prize. It's almost a unit per week if you're just watching and blindly tailing. So obviously appreciate if you guys leave a like, you know, subscribe, follow. This is free. The quality of work that we guys both give you is above that, right? I mean, if you look at what's on Twitter right now, like literally look what's on Twitter right now. Open and look at the For You and scroll through. It sucks, right? So it's for guys like us who are trying to not suck. A like goes a long way. It really does. It's super easy, all that stuff. So no one's here begging, you know, that, but at the end of the day, likes, all that stuff is money out here. And I don't want to have to turn into an AI that you just lock an emoji. Because sometimes I try to copy those little tweets and it just makes me want to kill myself. Like it really does. Like I could never tweet that. Like I truly, it's not even a self-respect thing. It's just you look how goofy they are. Like I don't know. It is what it is. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like we're doing good stuff over here. You know what I mean? I think this is good content. I think we're giving you guys good angles out here. We're working very hard to do it. And I mean, the results speak for themselves over the last couple of years. So that was a little bit long-winded. If you're new to the show, there's going to be a lot of long-winded bullshit from me, but it turns out pretty good in the end. So definitely think we cashed some good tickets today. If you want the quick recap, just go back like 2-3 minutes. We did a little rant in here at the end, but good stuff today. Excited to see you again after Christmas.
Yes, sir. We might do what we've done before and just tweet out our plays, count them 4 past the prop. We've done that before, and it's been fine doing it that way. We might run a giveaway if we hit everything. I'm feeling a sweep here. I might throw a little round robin parlay in with all of our plays. Maybe throw a little McBride, St. Brown, CeeDee, Najee. Canby Books, open up fucking Kyle Hamilton. Let's fucking go. Put it on the damn book. I know you're scared. You didn't even have pace last week. There's my rant of the day. Figure your shit out. I want to bet on them. All right, guys. Merry Christmas. Best of luck tonight. I have my YouTube play of the day. I just posted out there for college basketball. Hey, 13-2. Let's fucking do it, baby. I'm excited. 4 o'clock start for our boys over there with the Horned Frogs, baby. Let's go TCU, baby. Let's go. Wake them up. And, we'll be back. Make sure you follow both of us on Twitter. Have the notification bell on. We might be dropping past the prop plays later on. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck, and Merry Christmas to you and yours.